We're now joined by Raeana and Andrius from Rome. Raeana and Andrius are all outdoor enthusiasts and trail runners. They're based in Mornington, where Andrius practices as a sports medicine doctor. He also holds a PhD in exercise physiology and sports nutrition, which is perfect for today's topic of nutrition and how to look after yourself on challenge day. Rome came about because they grew tired of sugary bars and gels when out on their adventures. They started experimenting with taking nut butter out on their adventures, and so their main product, Energy Nut Butter, was born. Their goal was to create a product that was delicious and made from real ingredients like almonds and cashews. Guys, thank you so much for coming and sharing your wisdom with all our participants today.
Thank you for having us. We're excited to be here.
So tell us, how important is nutrition to a successful challenge experience?
Nutrition is super important, and I think it's one of the elements that can make the difference between you having a really great day out on course or a not so great one. And we all put so much effort into training and getting to the start line in great shape. And it would be such a shame if something as simple as your nutrition lets you down because you get dehydrated or you suffer from an upset stomach on course. You know, you've put in so much work with your team to get to the start line. It's worth thinking about these things now so you can mitigate all of those risks on the day.
Very much so, and especially because we are a bush course, there's a long distance between the toilets. So upset stomachs is definitely not something you want when you're 10 kilometres from the next stop.
Not ideal, yeah.
So when should our participants start thinking about what they're going to eat and drink on challenge day?
You should really be starting to think about your nutrition now. And I imagine for a lot of you guys, you'll be in the later stages of your training where you're starting to do longer walks on the weekends. And that's a great time to experiment with different food and drink. Work out what you like and what foods you prefer to avoid. And then on your longer training sessions, aim to have a little plan in place for your nutrition. And just pay attention just pay attention to what's working well with you, what sits well with you, and then what maybe doesn't. Another good idea is to start to research the checkpoints or the wellness stops on the course and estimate how long it may take you to get between each checkpoint, so you know if you need to carry food or drink with you.
And look, we love them all to definitely have lots of water out on course with them all the time. But some teams we see, they don't carry any food with them on course, which isn't a good idea. And then some people, their packs are really heavy with they've almost taken 2 days food with them. So it's really great to use those long training walks to fine tune all that and be just ready for a challenge day, ready to go. So are there any differences between someone walking, say, the 30-kilometre event or the 50-kilometre versus someone walking the 100-kilometre, and what they need to take into account with these different distances?
So I will answer this question. So the general principles would be the same for nutrition, but with longer distances, it's important to be a bit more disciplined and staying more attentive to hydration, because dehydration can affect performance, affect energy levels, and can upset stomach. And also it's important to be more consistent with energy consumption, so consuming that at more regular intervals. And there is another element in longer distances. Some participants may experience something that's called taste fatigue, when taste buds become tired of eating foods that are of the same flavor, especially with sugary foods. So that's why it's important to kind of mix in wider variety of foods during your training and during the challenge as well.
So you know what's going to sit in your stomach, because you don't know what out of that little pool of things you're actually going to want on the day.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you recommend people grazing constantly as they're walking along the course, or should they just walk the section and then save and have most of their food at the wellness stop?
As I understand, wellness stops will be around 10 kilometers apart in the race. So in this case, I would say grazing is a bit better approach, and you can stop in those wellness stops and have slightly larger snack or even a small meal. The problem with big meals is that they can left you feeling probably full and can sometimes send you into energy slump while your body is digesting that.
Which is not good if you're out walking 100 Ks.
Yeah, exactly.
So something, if somebody had, for example, a ham and salad wrap, would it be something you'd say have half of that at one wellness stop, then go out and walk the 10 or 15 Ks and then have another one at the other half at the other wellness stop? Don't sit down and have a whole wrap and an apple and a piece of banana cake and everything and go, oh, well, it's lunchtime.
Exactly. So those wraps can be your kind of bigger meals, and between those wellness stops, because 10 kilometers will probably take more than an hour and longer to cover. So during that period, smaller snacks, making sure you're hydrating, and just regular energy intake with smaller snacks will make a difference.
Most of our participants will be out between the stops for 2 to 3 hours. So, it's a long time to go without food if they're not carrying something small, at least to have on the course. Is there anything you recommend more to carry on course and have?
In terms of energy?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, you always have to carry some sort of a energy with you, especially if we know that it's a 2 to 3 hours gap. So a mix of carbohydrate and protein-based foods, snacks. Some of them can be solid foods. Some of them can be consumed as the energy drink, electrolyte drink, as part of your hydration. I would say in those kind of challenges, prioritizing natural nutrition could be a good choice, especially a good mix of savory foods, foods that are salty as well, and some people
crave salty foods.
Yeah, you certainly find that during the later stages of an event, you may start to crave saltier foods, so like potato chips or pretzels or something like that. Good options to have on hand, or they may even be at the wellness stops.
Do have salt and vinegar chips towards the end of the day. It's always the time people are starting to look for stuff like that. Have you got any other examples of foods that people could be eating, ideas, if they're just starting out and going, I don't know what actually to try?
Yeah, some simple things. So so even just a sandwich, if you like peanut butter and jam sandwiches, make up a sandwich, cut it in half, eat a half at a time. Bananas are great. I know they're not always the most practical to pack if you've got a heavy bag, because they can get bruised.
Bananas is something we have lots of at the wellness stops as well. Yeah. So it makes it easier than getting a soggy banana in the bottom of your pack.
Bananas are great because they're really gentle on the stomach, and they do help if you aren't feeling that great. You can experiment with little salami sticks. We've been out on long adventures where we've bought mini brie cheese wheels, and they're actually quite a nice little savory snack. Or biscuits or rice crackers, those types of things are good. You can cut them down into snack size, or if you need something a bit bigger, it's quite easy to carry a bit more, and they're relatively light as well. And obviously our energy nut butter is a great little addition to your food, whether that be in training or on the event. We would recommend that don't leave it for the event day to try a bunch of new foods. So stick to familiar things, really. That's a bit
things that they like.
Pardon?
Probably things that you like.
Absolutely. I mean, definitely things that you like.
Yeah.
And we do notice people can tend to over-index to really sugary stuff at the start, and Andrius can talk a little bit about stacking carbohydrates, but you've just got to be quite careful.
I was going to say, what kind of food should they avoid?
I think there are a couple of maybe principles what to avoid, and one thing that Raeana just mentioned is the stacking products. For example, products that are high in sugar. So, for example, if you're having an energy bar and then wash it down with Powerade or other high sugary
or something,
or Coke, for example, that could upset your stomach. So a better idea is to wash these foods with just simple water, and then if you want to add Powerade, you can add a bit later. But just using that principle, if you are having a high carbohydrate food, it's better not to wash it with more carbohydrates.
Is there anything they should watch with sports drinks? I mean, it's such a variety with when everything says electrolytes, but sugar content, is that something you'd highly recommend everyone when they're trying out these drinks if they want to use them to read the nutrition panel?
I think that the main principle for this specific challenge is more thinking about hydration rather than getting a lot of concentrated carbohydrates. So that would be probably another element to almost avoid. I would skip energy gels and really concentrated sports drinks. And if participant wants a bit of a pickup in terms of energy, a fizzy drink or lollies even can be a good choice.
When it comes to electrolyte, yeah, you're right, Anna. It does pay to look at the nutrition panel because you may see two products that say that they're electrolytes, but one's got, say, a lot of, 30 grams of carbohydrate per serving, and one has none, so no calories at all. So you're probably best to go with one that doesn't really have much or any calories in it. So that's really just got your salts and minerals that you need to rehydrate. And that can come in powder form, but you can also get the effervescent tablets, which are quite lightweight and quite handy, easy to pop into a drink bottle. It's quite a good idea, if you have got space, and we don't want to weigh your bag down, but carrying, maybe a bottle that's just plain water and then one other one that's got electrolytes in it. So you can kind of alternate between them while you're walking over, a stretch of time.
Yeah.
And then we have lots of Aqualite at the wellness stops as well. We like that one because it's lower in sugar than some of the other products on the market. So that's a great one. And you see lots of people doing that, as you said, the 2 drink bottles, so they can fill up one with water and one with the Aqualite and take those out on course for the next section. So especially for our 100K walkers, by the time they get to the 95-kilometer mark, is it all right for them to throw the rules with sugar out and just start getting, those red frogs or the snakes and stuff is sometimes what they need to do that last hour to get to the finish line, or hands off all the rules by that stage?
You've got very little to lose at that point. I think, if you're feeling good and, it's the same in a marathon race. They, at the very last aid station, that's where they put all the coke, because they know that if you just need that last bit of energy to get to the finish line, and once you're at the finish line, you'll be taken care of. So normally it's fine if you're wanting just a little pick me up at that last wellness stop in the last 5K. You should be fine if you're feeling.
We like to start giving out Chupa Chups at that stage, because we find it's that little bit of boost, but also sucking the Chupa Chup seems to be something that keeps them a little bit longer. It's a mental challenge by that stage, isn't it? So before we wrap up, I always like to ask, what are your top tips and tricks for our participants to have a great experience on course and successfully make it to the finish line with a massive smile on their faces? And enough to have a dance. We can't let them leave all their energy on course.
Yeah, let's make it simple with tips. So the tip number 1 is practice your nutrition during training. So you've still got plenty of time to experiment with different foods and try different combinations. Then tip number 2, come up with a plan. So know what's available in those wellness stops and have a rough idea of the schedule you would like to follow. As we kind of mentioned, 30 minutes is a good start. 30 minutes for snacking, making sure you're hydrating.
And you can
every 30 minutes.
Yeah, every 30 to 40 minutes. And I mean, it could be a fun little thing to do with your team, is to kind of alternate. Okay, it's your turn to remind us that we've got to eat in the next 40 minutes, or come up with a little schedule. You can, if you've got an Apple Watch or something, you can set up a little reminder on your watch or on your phone just to, trigger that memory of, okay, we've got to drink or have a little snack now. And
when you say that, like, just every 30 minutes, that could be as simple as 1 bite from a muesli bar or a couple of nuts, or like they don't have to eat.
You don't have to force yourself. Yeah.
Eat a whole sandwich every 30 minutes. It's just continually putting some sustenance in your body.
Yeah,
exactly. That will help to keep energy levels stable and will make you feel better.
And that's the biggest thing. It makes you feel better. You feel body.
Yeah, exactly. And maybe the final tip is be flexible, and be flexible in the sense that, you know, your favorite snack during training session may suddenly become not your favorite on the challenge day. So have a few options in mind for this kind of scenario. So
And again, our longer distance walkers all have support crew vehicles. So there's no excuse not to have a few different little items in a tub in your support crew's boot. So you've got lots of different options to choose from.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a great idea.
So I'd like to thank you both so much for all the great advice you've provided here today. You've also put together a section in our participant info guide. So that's definitely worth everybody checking out and making sure they're reading. You can give them a follow at Rome Energy or check out the website that we've just popped across the screen now. Thanks heaps, guys.
Thanks so much,
Thank
Anna.
you.
And everyone have a great walk and a great experience on Challenge Day.